Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Verna Bharath. This is TTT News. It's time for the headlines. Acting Prime Minister speaks out against detractors of handling of ongoing Boeing 737 MAX aircraft concerns. Investigations continue to find source of Tuesday's oil spill. Cabinet approves Phase 1 of Piccadilly regeneration project. And in sport, TNT bats come alive versus Jamaicans in 4-day championships. The decision to ground an aircraft is one that must come from the Civil Aviation Authority, not the government. This from Acting Prime Minister Colm Imbert, who, during Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing, refuted claims that government did not act in the best interest of its citizens in relation to the ongoing Boeing 737 MAX aircraft concerns. Janine Brown has more.
In the first place, it would be unlawful for a minister to tell the independent Civil Aviation Authority of Trinidad and Tobago what to do or what not to do with respect to aircraft.
Acting Prime Minister Colm Imbert clarifies the decision to ground an aircraft is the sole responsibility of the Civil Aviation Authority. The United States' Federal Aviation Administration on Wednesday grounded all U.S.-registered Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. CAA Director Francis Regis later acted in accordance with the FAA and signed off on a notice of flight prohibition. Minister Imbert insists it was the right course of action for the FAA to act first, given that the aircraft are manufactured by the U.S.
In international aviation law, there is something called a design state where an aircraft is designed and manufactured, and all of the specifications for that aircraft come from that particular country. Our Civil Aviation Authority, not being the design state or not being within the design state for the Boeing 737-8 MAX, is in no position to determine the airworthiness of the MAX 8 or not. That is for the design state to do.
And Minister Imbert wants citizens not to panic as it pertains to CAL's November 2018 announcement that it planned to upgrade its fleet to the Boeing 737 MAX 8. He says while a $7 million down payment for the leasing of the aircraft has already been made, CAL will only act in the best interest of its customers.
But the down payment is part of an agreement based on the successful completion of the delivery of the aircraft that would have been certified and deemed to be airworthy. So that is something that the airline has been authorized by me to look at as well.
Minister Imbert says if the aircraft is found by the FAA to be unsafe, government would seek to recover its down payment. Janine Brown, TTT News.
American Airlines operations in Trinidad and Tobago is hoping to be back to normal by Saturday. This after the airline on Tuesday stopped the Miami to Port of Spain route, which was serviced by Boeing 737 MAX jets. It follows the Boeing company's recommendation that operations of the entire global fleet of 737 MAX jets be temporarily suspended out of an abundance of caution and in order to reassure the flying public of the aircraft's safety. Works and Transport Minister Ruhan Sinanan gave an update on the impact on the flights to Port of Spain. American Airlines usually operate 3 flights daily into Port of Spain.
They have assured us that they are using another aircraft to minimize the inconvenience to their passengers. Most of their passengers yesterday and today who would have been put in a position where they could not have either leave Trinidad or arrive into Piaco would have been accommodated by Caribbean Airlines and some of the other carriers, JetBlue, United.
He said the airline is operating 2 flights today and 2 flights tomorrow and should be back up to 3 on Saturday. Works and Transport Minister Ruhan Sinanan says investigations are continuing into the oil spill which occurred on Tuesday in the vicinity of the Maritime Preservation, and he is hopeful the situation can be resolved in a short time. He gave an update on the matter during today's post-cabinet media briefing.
They are targeted down to 1 vessel, and they are in the process now of taking samples from that vessel that they can analyze. So I'm hoping that they can have this sorted out between today and tomorrow. Fortunately, the spill did not stay any length of time. Within 12 hours, the spill would have disappeared. So there's no oil in the area anymore.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley will return home next Tuesday. This from Finance Minister Colm Imbert, who is currently acting as Prime Minister in Dr. Rowley's absence. Dr. Rowley left for California on March 5th to conduct a series of medical tests after his doctors informed him back in 2016 of soft plaque forming in one of his arteries. Mr. Imbert gave an update on the Prime Minister's situation during Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing.
I am advised by the Honourable Prime Minister that his tests procedures went very well. The Facebook posting that was reported in a daily newspaper was accurate. The Prime Minister does not require surgery, and we are thankful our prayers have been answered, and we look forward to his return on Tuesday.
Cabinet has approved the start of plans for East Port of Spain's revitalization. It will begin with the Piccadilly regeneration project. At today's post-cabinet media briefing, Minister of Housing, Edmund Dillon, outlined what we can expect in Phase 1, which will see changes between Bassor Street and Laventil Road.
The first phase of that project entails the demolition of the Bassor Street Police Station, the old Bassor Street Police Station, I'm reminded, the old Bassor Street Police Station, and involve that block from that Bassor Street Police Station to Laventil Road. The intention there is to put on a mixed-use tower building on that site. That's the first phase. That would involve a combination of economic activities, social activities, and of course residential activities in that particular area.
He said important heritage buildings will be incorporated into the development. Phase 2 of the Piccadilly regeneration project will include the area from Laventil Road to Jackson Street. The United States Embassy in Port of Spain has introduced a new visa initiative, the Renewal Interview Waiver, RIW. If your U.S. tourist visa is expired under 1 year, you no longer have to go through an on-site interview, only the online process. This was announced by U.S. Ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Joseph Mandalo, at a press conference at Buku today.
In the future, the renewal of visas will not require the interview with certain exceptions. It will not require the interview, which of course necessitated individuals to travel to Trinidad to have their interview at the U.S. Embassy. But the new U.S. Embassy's initiatives have done away with that. And what we're going to do is allow people to file their application with a courier at the embassy, and they'll deposit their fee with the Scotiabank, and their visas will be renewed. Now,
more to come. Stay with us.
There's no time like now and no show like ours. Start your day with a smile and view TTT every morning at 6 a.m. as Lisa, Rishi, and Carrie keep you in the know with what's trending on social media, the island vibe, and bring you the latest from the worlds of sport, technology, current affairs, and much more. Who says informative can be fun? Now, shaping tomorrow today, weekdays at 6 a.m. on TTT, Talk City 91.1 FM, and streaming live on Facebook at TTT Live Online.
Introducing the biggest, bestest deal around! KFC's Big Deal! 2 delicious pieces of chicken, 1 regular side, and a large drink for only $29! Now that's value for money! KFC, it's finger licking good!
It may be late in the season, but the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force batsmen showed the kind of form their coaches have been craving all season long as they amassed a solid 338 for 5 on the opening day of their West Indies Championship clash with Jamaica at the Brian Lara Stadium in Tarouba. Openers Kyle Hope and Jeremy Solorzano set the tone with a massive century stand worth 134 before being separated. The right-handed Hope, who has been in terrific form lately in domestic competitions, notched 64 with 10 fours, and as he made a successful return to the team. The left-handed Solorzano also played well for his 63, which included 11 boundaries as TNT blunted the Jamaican attack. But even when they departed, the runs continued to flow with Jason Mohammed top scoring with an unbeaten 89 so far, counting 7 fours and 3 sixes to his name, hoping to return on day 2 to complete a century. Skipper Dinesh Ramdin added 41 and Landell Simmons 30 to boost TNT's scores. Nicholson Gordon was Jamaica's best bowler with 4 for 49. The Trinidad and Tobago national women's cricketers are off to Guyana, hoping to reclaim their regional titles. Ruskin Mark says new coach Calvin Williams has some huge shoes to fill with Gerald Garcia now out of the picture.
Gerald Garcia was the driving force behind the national women's program, taking them to unprecedented success in recent years. But he is now fighting to clear his name after he was sacked as coach recently following an incident involving alleged inappropriate contact on social media with one of his under-19 players. But Kelvin Williams, who replaced him as head coach of the national team, believes the team is looking to turn the page after losing both titles in Jamaica last year.
Throughout the region, I think we perhaps have the best organized women competitions, and it's hurt me last year to see that, we actually put a lot of effort into women cricket, and to see the way we actually didn't finish. Last year I thought it was hurtful for me.
Captain Mercer Aguilera is pleased with the team's preparation so far and credits Williams with fostering a positive camp. As a result, she's quietly optimistic of winning back the titles based on their preparation both on and off the field.
We are not short when it comes to skill-wise. Physically, I know we were trying to get more physically fit because I think that's an area that we have looked at seriously. And, I really believe our mental game is important. I think, for us, because our preparation, everything has been great. So it's all about remaining focused. I think that is an area that we really, really have to dig deep in. When we go over there is to remain focused. We came on a mission and we have to try to fulfill it.
The TNT ladies opened their campaign on Sunday against host Guyana. Ruskin Mark, TTT Sports.
In a fitting tribute, a host of former players under Bertil Sinclair are coming together to hold 3 days of events to honor the former national coach. Several players who played under Sinclair at the 1991 FIFA Under-20 World Cup and at the senior national team level, as well as for Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive back in the day, are set to pay tribute and say thanks to a man who has impacted their lives on and off the football field. The highlight of the celebrations will be Saturday night's gala dinner, at which Coach Sinclair will be the host of honor. On Sunday, the players who read like a who's who in local football will do battle from 2 p.m. either at the Dwight York Stadium or the Mount Pleasant ground. They include Angus Eve, Arnold Dwarka, Brent Sancho, Anthony Rougier, and Dwight York, with Lebanon-based David Nackett expected to make the trip. A church service on Friday morning kicks off the weekend celebrations. In a shock move that took almost everybody by surprise, former Manchester United midfielder Paul Scholes has resigned as Oldham's athletic manager with great regret after only 31 days in charge. Scholes, a lifelong Oldham fan, won one of his 7 games as manager of the English League Two club, who are 14th in the standings. In a statement, the former England midfielder essentially stated that he was not given the freedom to operate as he was told prior to taking the job. He at least wanted to see out his 18-month contract at the club he supported all his life. Scholes, who spent his entire playing career at United and played 66 times for England, won 11 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups and 2 Champions League crowns before retiring in 2013. Another heartbreaking incident at Santa Anita racetrack, causing officials to take pause as they monitor the track in the wake of a series of incidents which forced its closure for races. The filly Princess Lily B broke both front legs at the end of a workout on the main dirt track at Santa Anita and was euthanized on Thursday. becoming the 22nd horse to suffer catastrophic injuries since December 26th. Track ownership later announced a ban on race day medication at the historic venue. The death occurred after several new safety initiatives were installed and racing suspended for 2 weeks. Santa Anita had reopened its main track for limited workouts on Monday, with horses limited to jogging and galloping, while the surface was monitored for any irregularities that may have caused the deaths of 21 horses since the winter meet began on December 26th. A countdown clock for the end of an over and a standard ball in Test cricket are among changes that have been suggested by a group of leading figures in the sport. Ruskin Mark says the ICC will now discuss the proposals before taking action.
The MCC World Cricket Committee has proposed playing the World Test Championships, which begins with this year's Ashes, with a standardized ball. The committee is an independent panel that can propose changes to the laws. 3 different brands of red balls are currently used in tests, with the Duke's ball used in England and West Indies, the SG ball is used in India, and the others use the Kookaburra ball. The committee, which includes ex-Australian leg spinner Shane Warne and the former England Test captain Mike Gatting, also suggested measures to speed up play in tests, like a free hit to follow a no ball, like in limited overs matches. A timer of 45-second countdown, which starts from the call of over or at the fall of a wicket, and if either side isn't ready when the clock reaches 0, they would receive a warning first, and any repeat will see them penalised with 5 runs awarded to the opposition. A survey conducted by the MCC said 25% of fans from England, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa said slower rates put them off attending tests, but Test cricket is their preferred format. Ruskin Mark, TTT Sports.
More to come. Stay with us.
Reach further when you advertise with TTT. Sweet 100, Next 99.1, and at Talk City 91.1 FM. Whether it's television, radio, or social media, our stations belong to the only broadcast network with 100% coverage across Trinidad and Tobago. That's a fact. From Port of Spain to Point Fortin, Crown Point to Charlottesville, every household in TNT can easily access our signal. TTT remains the only broadcaster with live capability from multiple locations in the country, making us the most dependable source of information for events of national importance. Find us on any smart device at TTT Live Online. Are you ready to reach further with your advertising? Contact our sales team now. Call us at 622-4141 at extensions 2601 to 2607 or email us at sales@ttt.co.tt.
The weather is brought to you in part by the Water and Sewerage Authority. Water, use what you need.
Across Trinidad and Tobago, the cool nights have returned. They've particularly chilly, especially in those sheltered valleys such as Lopino, around Aruca, also in Tobago. But for the most part, we could continue to see just the occasional clouds, maybe just those brief showers. Most of the clouds all courtesy of a jet stream, which is going all the way out into the Atlantic, so not much chance of rainfall there. And in fact, all we will see are those high-level cirrus clouds as you go through Friday and Saturday. So overnight, mostly clear and cool for Tobago, around Mason Hall down towards Plymouth, maybe just that brief shower, but overall you'll begin to see a lot of the sunshine pushing through in the afternoon, and there's also the possibility of some Saharan dust as well. We'll talk about that later. Out towards Trinidad tonight, clear and cool, just a brief shower around Arima, Maraval, coming down to Sugarwanus as well, mostly favouring the hillsides as you go through your first part of your morning. The second half of your morning and into lunchtime should be generally sunny, most of the sunshine pushing in from the east, eventually coming across to western areas as well. Maraval only seeing just occasional clouds from time to time, and Diego Martin as well, those afternoon clouds which build up, typical for this time of the year. San Fernando, a few brief showers first thing in the morning, and then again just occasional clouds through the afternoon. Now, temperature-wise, looking at lows of 22 degrees Celsius in Arima, but it will feel chilly, especially in those sheltered valleys. 24 the low in Tobago. And it seems as though for Tobago, there will be some Saharan dust pushing through on the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, quite breezy as you get towards the end of the weekend, especially around the eastern coastline of Trinidad. That Saharan haze will be with us into early next week for Monday, highs of 32 degrees Celsius. Now, heading offshore, those east-northeasterly winds of 50 knots will continue through Friday and into Saturday. Smooth conditions, however, on the Gulf of Paria along the Atlantic shoreline, looking at a moderate chop up to 2 meters in certain parts of the Atlantic and 1.5 meters through the Caribbean. And that's how it should stay as you go through late Friday and continue into Saturday. And there's only one high tide at 10:30 a.m. Now, of course, at the Greater Antilles, there have been some frontal systems coming through. This one is set to stall and eventually weaken just north of the Leeward Islands. So basically, only seeing a few clouds from time to time, maybe just a passing shower, but that will be mostly on the occasional side for those in the early mornings. So if you are in the Leeward Islands, that's where you'll see some of those showers. But for the Greater Antilles, the Santo Domingo will see a gusty shower or two and a high of 31 degrees Celsius. And also sunnier skies expected for Kingston at 30 degrees Celsius here. The Leeward Islands mostly settled and fair. The Windward Islands rather dry and stable, and that's how it will stay as you go through Saturday. And Georgetown, just occasional clouds for the most part and a high of 32 degrees Celsius. But for us here in Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy, a few early morning showers, still feeling warm at times at 31 degrees Celsius. So that's your weather, and that's it from me.
The weather was brought to you in part by the Water and Sewage Authority. Water, use what you need.
President of the Republic, Paul M. Weeks, is calling on employers to encourage their employees to get tested for glaucoma. In commemoration of Glaucoma Week, the president got screened today for the disease. Charlene Lewis reports.
President Paul M. Weeks said as head of chief servants, she's leading the way and encouraging the public to take care of their health.
I'm happy to say that we are oversubscribed, and so during the course of this morning, 45 members of the OTP staff will be tested for glaucoma. I would like to encourage other institutions and government agencies to encourage their staff to be tested for glaucoma. It is entirely possible to prevent the advancement of the disease if it's found early. Is that it?
Certainly, early diagnosis is what we advocate.
A bit small now. That's okay, so we record that as the right eye.
This is clearly an N. I know there's an H before it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting better. Maybe I have to go backward. R.
Chairperson of the Volunteers for World Sight Day, Dr. Marie Desiree Murray, also stressed the importance of early detection and screening.
Glaucoma blindness is completely preventable by early treatment.
Is routine screening available in the public sector?
Screening is done at the optometrist or the ophthalmologist. Usually in the public sector, if an abnormality is detected, then the patient is referred into the eye units in the eye hospitals.
Staff of the Office of the President were also screened as part of the morning's activity.
Here are the details of the day's market activity on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange.
Trading on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange produced a volume of 182,699 shares with a traded value of $1,998,232.68. JMMB Group Limited was the volume leader with 106,038 stock units changing hands. Investors bought and sold the stocks of 15 companies, with 4 increasing, 5 declining, and 6 ending the day unchanged. The composite, the cross-listed, and the all-T&D indices declined.
More to come. Stay with us.
Any person who knowingly sells or allows another person to sell intoxicating liquor to a child under the age of 18 years, whether for the child's own use or not, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction for a first offense to a fine of $7,500. In this festive season, remember that the Liquor Licenses Act Chapter 8410 states that the sale of intoxicating liquor to individuals under the age of 18 years is prohibited. It's our collective responsibility to safeguard the nation's youth, that they are not exposed to triggers that may lead to negative outcomes. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
For over a decade, plastic pollution has emerged as one of the most important environmental issues that's facing the Earth. This according to marine scientist and instructor at the Department of Life Sciences at UWI, Ladana Kanhai, who shared the findings of her report on microplastics in the Arctic Central Basin. More from Mahalia Joseph Wharton.
Marine scientist and instructor Ladana Kanhai said although the Arctic Ocean is the smallest ocean on Earth located away from major populations, there are a number of routes in which single-use plastics can enter the ecosystem.
Within the past decade, we've had some researchers suggesting that seabirds are transporting plastics into the Arctic. So what you have happening in the high Canadian Arctic is that you have some seabirds, they overwinter in the Atlantic Ocean, the North Atlantic, and whilst they overwinter in there, they're feeding, of course, and they're picking up these plastic particles, they're ingesting them. But then when they go back to the Arctic to breed, they are taking these plastics with them.
She explained that it's a form of biotransport. From the findings of her 2016 report, the concentrations of the plastics were higher than what you find in very contaminated surface water.
So it does confirm that the sea ice is acting as a sink for microplastics. And if something acts as a sink for microplastics, when it melts, it could also act as a source. So in the context of a changing climate, this is an issue. So the Arctic Ocean is an area where you have two big issues coming to play, plastic pollution and climate change.
She stressed that plastic pollution is a major environmental threat. Ms. Kanhai gave examples as to how this country is doing its part to curb plastic pollution.
We have had some initiatives. So you have, for example, the government has issued a statement that they're going to ban styrofoam products. That is one step. We've had the IK initiative where they are trying to recycle and encourage people to recycle materials.
She said while beach cleanups are great, it only deals with the surface. Ms. Kanhai said there must be a multi-pronged approach to deal with plastic pollution. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
Here's a recap of tonight's top stories. Acting Prime Minister speaks out against detractors of handling of ongoing Boeing 737 MAX aircraft concerns. Investigations continue to find source of Tuesday's oil spill. Cabinet approves Phase 1 of Piccadilly regeneration project. And in sport, TNT bats come alive versus Jamaicans in 4-day championships. That's a wrap on this evening's TTT News. On behalf of all of us here, I'm Verna Bharath. Have a good night.